I very recently got my hand on a couple of blocks of fluid watercolor paper, so I thought it would be really fun to sit down and play with this pad of paper and do something I'm very comfortable with, which is watercolors. So that's what we're doing today. I bought two different blocks of this paper. I got I want to say it's a 6x8 and then a 9x12. And the one I'm working with in this video is the smaller pad, which is the one that I believe it's a 6x8. This is their not cotton paper, it's just regular cold press watercolor paper. The place I went to buy it didn't have any of their cotton paper, otherwise I probably would have picked that one up. But either way, I was still really excited to actually try this paper and see how it works because I have yet to use any watercolor paper by Fluid, and it's always just nice to try different watercolor papers because there's just so many out there and like so many different kinds. Like you got your cold press, you got your hot press, you got your cotton papers, all that stuff. I think as of right now, my favorite watercolor paper is the Paul Rubens cotton paper. I think it's like 50% cotton is what they are, but I really like their cold pressed cotton paper. It's so nice. It's actually a pretty good price point too, all things considered, because especially with watercolor paper, once you get into cotton paper, that's when the price starts to really go up. But in my opinion, the Paul Rubens ones are not too bad of a price point at all. And then, of course, I am painting Genshin Impact here because it is something that has definitely slowed down in taking over my life, which I'm immensely grateful for because I had a period there where pretty much all of my free time was put into Genshin Impact, and I'm definitely slowing down. Like, I'm okay with just like logging in and doing a couple of things a day, or not even playing every single day, which it's very nice. It's very nice going back to that normal actual pace of doing stuff instead of like hyper fixating on it. But I am painting one of the characters from Genshin Impact who has actually become my main. I never expected it to happen, but this is Kazuha. I love him so unbelievably much. My biggest main in Genshin Impact was Yanfei for the longest time. She was like one of my very first 4 stars that I got, and she's really carried me through the game. Like, I feel like my team has been so much stronger and so much better ever since I got Yanfei. Like, she was such a nice role to get because I absolutely love her. But when Kazuha's banner went up, I rolled for him and I got him, thankfully, and I just realized that he's like the most essential character in my team, no matter what my team is. Like, I can't build any kind of elemental team now without having Kazuha, so he very unexpectedly became my main, and I love him so much. He's such a good character to have, and like all of the characters in Genshin Impact, their designs are so complex and so detailed, so the sketch for this piece took me so long just because I was like, really want to get his actual costume correct, and I think I did a really good job on it. It was a lot of fun to draw. While the designs may be super complex, it's really nice to draw something and paint something and just do something that's so detailed, because especially when it comes to original art for me, and especially when it comes to character design, I feel like clothes is really where I lack the most, because I personally really like wearing very comfy casual clothes, and I feel like my fashion sense is not super like detail oriented or like fancy. It's very much so casual because it's comfy, and that's what I like. So that really translates over to my artwork because I always gravitate towards drawing characters in comfy clothes. So like t-shirts and sweatshirts and sweatpants, and like, I don't know, not super explorative when it comes to character design, which I definitely want to change. I want to work on that so much. I feel like, especially with my Patreon being a thing, I've been gravitating towards doing more original art than I would normally do, mainly because I don't want my print tier on Patreon to be fan art every month, because I know not everyone is interested in the exact same thing, and like, for my patrons, I don't want them to constantly be getting prints of stuff that they don't know what the characters are from, so I definitely try to do a good balance of fan art to original art, and I really want to get better at character design and get more involved and enjoy character design more, because it's always something that I would, in theory, like to be good at, especially when it comes to designing outfits for characters, but I really struggle with it. So in that sense, it's really fun drawing Genshin characters because I can actually do like complex designs and I have a blueprint to go off of instead of coming up with it on my own, and it just makes the whole process a lot easier. And if you're curious at all for this painting, I did use my standard palette of watercolors, which is just a mixture of Daniel Smith and M. Graham paints. And like I said, this was on the fluid watercolor paper, and I did enjoy working on this paper. It's definitely not the same experience as cotton watercolor paper, because cotton watercolor paper is like the cream of the crop. It's so nice. Something I did notice about this paper, I don't know if it is just like a one-off experience or if this is how this paper works, but I tried using like 3 different gel pens on this paper, and they really did not want to work on this paper. I tried both my Uniball Signo white gel pen as well as a couple of different sizes of Arteza white gel pens, and they just would not work. I think I got it to work for a couple of lines, but it was so bad to the point where like I just switched over to using opaque white ink because I was having such a hard time getting down any amount of the actual white ink from the gel pen. So like I said, I really don't know why it was doing that or why it was behaving like that. Some areas of the paper felt like they were a lot worse than others. This was the only sheet I've actually used from this water paper block, so I definitely can't give like 100% definitive opinion or say on that, but it was just weird because I know like I do sometimes struggle with gel pens in the sense that they really just don't want to put out any kind of consistent ink, but like I couldn't get down any ink at all pretty much in certain points. And it was just weird. It was very, very strange. Aside from that, like I said, I did enjoy this paper. I felt like it definitely wore down the surface of the paper when it came to erasing or lifting paints pretty quickly. But again, it's not cotton paper. For just regular cold price paper and the price point that this paper is at, I think it did a really good job. And as far as my opinion on this painting goes, I really like how it turned out. It's a little messy because I just haven't been doing a ton of art lately, but I really wanted to sit down and paint this Kazuha because I had a little thumbnail sketch of it for a little bit, and I really needed to paint it and get it out of my system. The only thing I would definitely change, or that I'm like not super happy about this piece, is that the background ended up being a lot lighter than I intended for it to be, because I did like the gradient sky, and when I was doing my washes initially, I thought I was putting down enough watercolors, and that just really was not the truth. So it's very light, and by the time I actually noticed how light it was and that I wanted to change it, I was going in and adding the black line work into the background. And the pen I was using is not waterproof at all. It's just a gel pen, so it bleeds really easily when it comes to any kind of water touching it. So I just kind of accepted the fact that the background's gonna be really light, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. If it really bothers me, I could always go in with colored pencils and just add some more pigment into the background so it didn't feel so washed out. Because I definitely think it would look a lot better having the background be more colorful and just more of like a darker solid color than it is, but we're gonna roll with it. It's not the end of the world. Definitely not the worst thing that could have happened throughout this piece. And in a very sad and cursed turn of events, my SD card got full towards the very tail end of this painting, so I actually was not recording the footage of me pulling off the paper from the block, which is something that I personally find to be very satisfying when you can actually lift the single sheet of paper off of the paper block pad. But yeah, I lost that footage because it didn't even record because my SD card got full and I had no idea, so this is just how it is, which, mind you, is completely my fault because I'm very chaotic with my SD card. I never delete old footage or move old footage off of my SD card. I just wait until it's full, and then I delete stuff. And I actually accidentally deleted the first, like, 20-minute clip of this actual painting process when I was deleting old files, and then I had to download a recovery software to get it back, and it was just a process, guys. It was a process. Mind you, I do it to myself, so there's only so much that I can complain. But if you've made it this far in the video, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.